Greetings and welcome to No BS Baking. You got JP here, and today I want to talk a little bit about water. Now, I know what you're saying, oh, water, whatever, it's important in baking, and it's important to understand your water. Now, if you feel that your water isn't good, maybe I could just go to bottled water. Well, yes and no. So I'm going to explain a little bit about water quality, and why you need to pay attention to this information. So this is going to be a 5-minute short, so let's get at it. In most places around the world, you got two options for getting your water. One is city or community water, and one, of course, is groundwater. And these are common everywhere in the world. Now, with city water and stuff like that, often the water is treated. It can be treated with chlorine, and part of the reason for this is to get rid of any pathogens that might be in the water, and very common in water. So they use chlorine. Now, if you have a small smell of chlorine, you can barely notice it, then I might continue to try to use my community water. But if it was a strong smell of chlorine, I would have a tendency to look at other options for baking. The other thing that's important too is, of course, the pH of the water. Now, pHs can range around the world. I've seen them go from 6.5 to over 8 in different places in the world. Check out my video on pH. I get into pH in water and how to do some simple tests to get kind of your head around where your particular pH would be. Now, on the other side of the coin here, we've got well water. Now you're dealing with water hardness. You're dealing with potential contaminants in there, which can include heavy metals, arsenic, nitrates, pathogenic bacteria, etc. And of course, you have your pH component that you need to consider also. But we're going to move on, and we're going to talk about the solution. So as we're talking about water considerations, the first one I wanted to talk about was pH. Generally, you want to have water delivered from your tap at about 6.5 to 8.0. I've seen guys who have a little bit higher than 8, especially in Europe and stuff, but generally, even though most of the public water utilities try to get water in and around 7 is what they try to do, you can have fluctuations. But this is a range that you should be working within. If you smell chlorine in your water and it's quite strong, remember something. Yeast doesn't like it, and sourdough hates it. Many people who try to make sourdough, if they're using tap water, can really be struggling and wondering why they're struggling. They're following this recipe. Sourdough especially really, really doesn't like chlorine. So be very sensitive to that too. You want to have chlorine-free water normally for baking. Water hardness. Now, soft water is about 50 parts. Hard water can be over 200, and I think we know what the difference is with that. Yeast likes it right in the middle. It's kind of the Goldilocks zone for yeast, around 100 to 150 parts per million. Soft water really doesn't, the dough doesn't really develop out the same. You can get it more stickier. It seems to be more elastic. The gluten's not really tightening up like maybe it should. And adversely, on the other side, hard water can really inhibit yeast and really make your gluten tough and difficult to work with. So that is important, and we're going to talk about how to attain this. Now, you can also get other contaminants inside your water. As I mentioned, you can arsenic, you can get pathogenic bacteria, nitrates, heavy metals. Most of this comes from groundwater that we have in our own wells. So please make sure you check your wells and know what you've got in there. And if you're in doubt at all, go to a bottled water, which is what we're going to talk about next. So if you've opted to go to the bottled water, you just don't trust your tap water, or you're not getting the results that you want, The best water to get is natural spring water or a mineral water, a good quality one. It'll contain the parts per million of minerals that yeast love and give you better baking performance all the way around. Thank you very much for watching the video. I'm going to be releasing a lot of these little short videos, so hit that subscribe button, keep on top of everything that's coming out, and please drop me a line and let me know what you think of everything in the comment section. So anyway, thank you. See you next time on No BS Baking.